Welcome back, listeners. Ready for another deep dive? Today we're going full-on spooky. We're talking about a mysterious cabin in the woods, like something straight out of a classic horror film, but with some modern twists.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, the story we got sent is about these two friends, Maya and Lena. They decided to head to a remote cabin for a weekend getaway. Escape the city, relax, enjoy some peace and quiet.
Right.
Except their retreat takes a dark turn, and it ends with a disappearance and a whole lot of unanswered questions. We're talking unexplained messages, disembodied voices, even a vanishing act that made Houdini scratch his head.
Okay, I'm definitely intrigued.
So the story starts out innocently enough. Our two friends, Maya and Lena, arrive at this secluded cabin. They're excited to be away from the city, looking forward to a weekend of relaxation.
Ah, the classic setup. It never gets old, does it?
Right. But right from the beginning, there's this underlying sense of unease, a tension that starts to build almost immediately. On their first night, they start hearing strange sounds outside the cabin. Branches snapping, footsteps in the leaves, whispers carried on the wind.
I can imagine that would be pretty unsettling, especially in a remote location like that.
Totally. And it seems like Lena tries to brush it off at first, like she's determined to enjoy her weekend and not let anything spoil the mood. But Maya, on the other hand, she's immediately on edge.
Yeah, that's understandable. Our minds are wired to be wary of unfamiliar environments, especially when we're isolated and vulnerable. It's a primal instinct, really. Darkness, strange sounds. These are all things that have signaled danger to humans for millennia. So it makes sense that Maya would be more sensitive to these cues.
That's fascinating. So even though they're both experiencing the same things, their individual perceptions of danger are already starting to diverge.
Exactly, and I think that's one of the things that makes the story so compelling. It plays on our own anxieties and fears, the things that go bump in the night. It makes us wonder how we would react in a similar situation.
Totally agree. Now, to make things even creepier, these strange sounds aren't the only thing that starts to unnerve them. They start finding messages scrawled on the walls of the cabin.
Messages? Like what kind of
Oh,
messages?
yeah. Well, that's the thing nobody knows. The messages are written in a language that neither Maya nor Lena can decipher. And to make matters worse, they seem to appear overnight, as if by magic. One minute the walls are bare, and the next they're covered in these cryptic symbols.
Wow, that's seriously strange. I mean, the idea of an unknown language is fascinating in itself. There are real-world examples of ancient scripts and codes that have yet to be deciphered. It makes you wonder what secrets they hold, what stories they could tell if we could only unlock their meaning.
Right. And in this case, it adds a whole new layer of mystery to the story. Are these messages some kind of warning? A plea for help from someone trapped in the cabin's past?
Hmm.
Or maybe something even more sinister?
It's hard to say for sure, but I think the fact that they're written in an unknown language really amplifies the sense of the uncanny. It suggests something beyond our understanding, something that operates outside the realm of our normal experience.
Okay, so we've got strange sounds, cryptic messages,
Hmm.
and then things get even weirder. There's an incident where Lena hears Maya's voice calling out to her while Maya is sound asleep. Imagine waking up in a strange cabin, already on edge, and then hearing your friend's voice, knowing they're asleep in the next room.
Oh, man. That's the kind of thing that would send chills down my spine. It's like that feeling you get when you think you see someone out of the corner of your eye, but when you turn to look, there's no one there. It plays with our sense of reality, makes us question what we can trust.
Exactly. And it gets you thinking, did Lena actually hear Maya's voice, or was it just her imagination playing tricks on her?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. That detail about Lena hearing Maya's voice while she was asleep immediately made me think of a phenomenon called sleep paralysis.
Sleep paralysis. I've heard of that. Is that when you wake up but you can't move?
Yes, exactly. It's a state where you're conscious, but your body is still in a state of paralysis, which is normal during REM sleep.
Yeah.
This can be a terrifying experience on its own, but what makes it even more unsettling is that it's often accompanied by hallucinations.
Hallucinations.
Yeah, both visual and auditory. People often report seeing shadowy figures or feeling a sense of an unseen presence in the room, and sometimes they hear voices often calling their name or whispering menacingly.
So are you saying that Lena might have experienced sleep paralysis and that the voice she heard could have been a hallucination?
It's definitely a possibility. Given the already heightened anxiety she was experiencing due to the strange sounds and the cryptic messages, Lena could have been more susceptible to such an episode. And the fact that she was in an unfamiliar environment away from her usual routines, could have further disrupted her sleep patterns.
Okay, so maybe sleep paralysis explains that one event. But then things take a truly terrifying turn on the final night of their stay.
What happens?
Well, their car is sabotaged, tires slashed, the key is missing, and then Lena just vanishes without a trace.
Wow, that escalates things quickly.
Right, it goes from creepy to downright terrifying. Now, Maya wakes up, and she can't find Lena anywhere. She checks the cabin, she searches the surrounding woods, but there's no sign of her. The only thing she finds is a single footprint leading into the woods.
Okay, now this is where things get really interesting. The physical evidence, the slashed tires, the missing car key, suggests that someone might have deliberately targeted them.
Right, it points towards foul play. Possibly someone from the town, maybe someone connected to the cabin's past.
But then we have Maya's account of hearing Lena's voice calling from behind a locked door, only to find that single footprint leading into the woods. And here's where it gets really interesting. Remember the local legend about the two voices being heard near the cabin at dusk?
Yeah, you mentioned it earlier.
Could this be a manifestation of that legend, drawing Lena into the woods? It's almost as if the story is playing out according to some predetermined script.
You're saying the legend itself might be influencing events, that it might have somehow drawn Lena to her fate.
It's certainly a chilling thought, and it brings us back to that question of how our perceptions and beliefs can shape our experiences, especially in unfamiliar environments. If Lena was already primed to believe in the legend, if she was already subconsciously expecting something supernatural to occur, could that have made her more susceptible to whatever force might be at work here?
I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. And to make matters even more puzzling, there are those strange, undeciphered messages on the walls. What if they're not random scribbles? What if they hold a clue to what happened to Lena?
Exactly. If we consider the possibility that these messages are connected to the local legend, deciphering them could provide valuable insights into Lena's disappearance. It's like trying to solve a puzzle where the pieces are scattered across time and shrouded in mystery.
So we've got this incredibly creepy cabin, a local legend that seems to be mirroring the events, a disappearance that defies explanation, and potentially coded messages holding the key to the truth. It's a lot to unpack.
It really is. This case has it all. Mystery, suspense, and a healthy dose of the supernatural. It makes you wonder if there are forces at work in the world that we just don't understand. Things that operate outside the boundaries of our logic and reason.
It certainly makes you think. But I have to ask you, given all the evidence, all the strange occurrences, what are your thoughts on the possibility of a supernatural explanation?
It's a tough one. It's tempting to say yes, that something supernatural is at play here, especially given the circumstances and the eerie parallels with the local legend. But as an expert, I also have to consider the possibility of a rational explanation, even if it seems unlikely. Maybe there's a mundane explanation for the sabotaged car and Lena's disappearance that we just haven't uncovered yet. Or maybe, just maybe, the legend is true and there's something more at work here, something beyond our current understanding.
It's a chilling thought. And I guess, in the end, that's what makes this story so compelling. It leaves us with more questions than answers. What fate did those two voices meet in the woods? And could deciphering the strange messages reveal the answer? We may never know for sure.
And sometimes the not knowing is what makes a story truly terrifying. It allows our imaginations to run wild, to fill in the blanks with our own fears and anxieties.
So, listeners, what do you think happened at that cabin? What secrets lie hidden within those woods? We may never know for sure, but that's the beauty of a good mystery, isn't it? It keeps us questioning, searching, and perhaps even a little bit afraid of what lurks in the shadows. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive. We'll see you next time.